protect the parts of your life that mean the most to you in terms of your values. So block out space in the calendar for you, for your family, for lifestyle, for holidays, because what I found personally is if you don't do that, the year tends to run you and you don't get to those things despite the best intention. Today, I want to share my execution framework for building the personal brand in 2024. Yesterday, I spent 6 hours at the Mercure Hotel in Doncaster, which is a suburb in Melbourne, with Jack Murray, who I've been collaborating with since 2012. He's visiting from Monaco, where he resides, one of the most abundant parts of the world, and made a slight detour before heading back to spend a few hours with myself. And we're having the conversation over a lemon, lime and bitters about what it takes to build a personal brand in the current landscape with the online world the way that it is. So I thought it'd be fun to take some of that conversation into today's episode. But the first thing I want to address before we go into the execution framework is now is the best time of the year to be highly visible. As we head into the back end of December, people start unwinding, taking a break over Christmas, New Year. They have a lot of downtime. They're feeling great. They scroll on their phones. They're open to new opportunities and possibilities. So if you're showing up with helpful content and you're in their newsfeed to that time of year, it's a great way to get on the radar and start building that relationship. So action item number one is start posting content today and finish off the year with a lot of momentum to hit 2024 running. The second invitation is before you create your own vision and framework for your 2024 personal brand, protect the parts of your life that mean the most to you in terms of your values. So block out space in the calendar for you, for your family, for lifestyle, for holidays, because what I found personally is if you don't do that, the year tends to run you and you don't get to those things despite the best intention. But if we're deliberate and go, this is when we're taking a holiday, it's in the calendar, nothing else can interfere, it's blocked out, this is when I'm having a day off, or this is when I'm committed to spending time with my family, you protect the things that matter most. And for my wife and I, with our son Bailey, we're in an experiential phase where we really value experiences, traveling over material things. So we make sure that we put those holidays and those trips in the calendar first and foremost, and then build the businesses, the personal brand strategies, everything else around them, so that remains sacred. So another invitation to protect that first before you go into building out your roadmap for 2024. Now, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to execute. And I have a few things in the calendar that I wouldn't normally have in a typical year that are in my private life that reduce some of my availability, and I'm committing more to the personal side. So I'll share how it would be different in a normal year and what I'm doing in 2024 with a few extra variables on the table. So the first one is my content frequency, and that's going to be targeted at daily. So 300 plus, or if it was daily, 365 or 366 next year, I think it's a leap year, pieces of content across the social media platforms I'm on. Now, for me, I have my team over at Content Only that make that very achievable, because we can take podcast episodes like this and cut clips for short form content such as shorts and reels. So it's easy to produce 7 pieces of content a week, showing up to do this 15, 20-minute episode and repurposing it. Now, if you're not a podcaster and that's not part of your plan or strategy, then I did an episode a few weeks ago on the 30 days in 90 minutes extraction model, where you can show up for 90 minutes a month and produce daily content through that process. So you can go back and listen to that one if you're looking for a simple framework to get a high level of output where you have authentic, original, on-brand, valuable content going out every single week in 2024. The reason I love podcasting so much is it creates long-form content. So as I'm building a relationship, and if you're listening to this, we get to go a bit deeper. I share those personal stories. I'm a bit more vulnerable and open than if you get a 60-second clip that's a grab, sharing some bit of value. I can go deeper with the strategy. So I build a relationship with the audience. It's very different to those that are just consuming short form. Now, the short form can actually help me get on other people's radar and get them back into the long form, where we can fast track that relationship. And podcasting for me is the easiest platform. I love to talk and present. I just have to show up, take a few notes for the theme that I'm going to discuss, hit record like I'm doing right now, speak into the microphone, and off we go. And that's done for the week. And as I said, my team, Francois, cuts the clips, repurposes it, and we've got our content for social media. So the second part of my strategy is to continue podcasting. And I'll be doing a weekly episode, just as I've done in 2023. 2023. So that'll produce 52 new podcast episodes in the year ahead, which I'm very committed to. And you can see how this compounds and adds up. 365 pieces of short form content over 12 months, especially if it's valuable, impactful, gets to the right people in the right places. 52 long form pieces of content in the form of podcast episodes, adding in-depth value. Add them all together. That's over 400 pieces of content for the personal brand, compounding over that period of time. The next strategy that I'll be doing is guest appearances on other established podcasts. And again, we did an episode on how to get onto podcasts, but I've actually found a more efficient way to do that. In a year where I didn't have calendar and availability restrictions, I'd aim to go on 2 podcasts a week as a guest. But in 2024, I'm setting the target of just 2 a month, because my calendar is going to be slammed, especially in the first half of the year. So reducing the target than I otherwise would in a normal year. But the tool's called Podmatch. It is a paid service. And what it does, it links you with podcast hosts that are looking for guests to come on and talk about subject matter expertise on their shows, and partners you up with them. So if you've got a profile going, you might have done a couple of appearances or your own podcast before, this is a great way to easily get connected with podcast hosts and get on shows, and do it much faster than the manual process that we shared with building the relationships on LinkedIn and places like Facebook. So there's a tool that can help you get on podcasts to build your personal brand, get exposed to other audiences, and bring some of their followers across to follow you on social media and add a ton of value to them in the process. So that's the next part of my execution framework strategy. Then there's the events side. So I'm committing to doing 1 live event a month in 2024, either virtual or in person. And that's also going to be a platform for monetization and opportunity to bring in new clients to our businesses and also privately. And what I love about the events is it's 3 hours where you get to share a ton of value and help people get a breakthrough in the room over that journey and process together, and then have an application where people want to get that additional support thereafter. They can have that conversation and see if it's aligned. So it's a leverage one-to-many way to onboard clients that understand and know and can decide whether you're capable of getting them results. So to recap, daily content, weekly podcast, 2 guest appearances a month, and a monthly event is my 2024 execution framework. Now, I'm also opening up an opportunity if you want additional resources and support to get the content done, to fill events for you, to get you onto podcasts, all those moving parts. I'll be doing that through our agency privately for 3 clients in 2024. And then I also will be supporting you in helping you become that best version of yourself to bring the personal brand vision to life and also build the business side of the personal brand. So if you like the idea of having all those resources, generating the content, getting you on the podcast, filling events for you, and getting that private support, there's a Calendly link in the show description and the show notes. You can book in a time. We can have a chat about that vision, see if it's aligned and if the opportunity is a match. I just wanted to put that one on the table. The next thing that I'll share is what I'm doing on the personal side, because how you take care of your body and yourself is going to influence your results and your energy levels and how you front up and feel confidence-wise as a personal brand. So for me, I'm committing to the same cardio plan that I've done in 2023, which is 6 days a week. And I do 30-minute sessions alternating between jogging or running, and I've just got a Peloton, so I can do my workouts in the darkness very early in the morning, just with a few of these private matters that are going on. That makes it easier than getting out into daylight on the actual bike. So 6 days a week, 30 minutes cardio. 3 times a week, I'll be doing what's called a 300 workout, and this is where I do 300 reps of different exercises across the entire body. So squats, dips, pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups, you name it, sit-ups, and that just keeps overall conditioning and strength of the body intact. I have a green smoothie every single day to make sure I'm getting the right amount of nutrients, and also a multivitamin. And with that, I have some targets in terms of macros with protein, and then there's also a 30-minute block that I'm committed to, which is purely for me to check in with myself in silence with a pen and paper, reflect on how I'm doing in all those areas that I've set benchmarks and targets. Is there anything coming up to me that I need to address my life that I can deal with, or I need to get professional help with, to make sure I'm taking care of me first and foremost so I can be the best for everyone else. Make sure I'm also breathing through that process and having some very present time with just me, creating that space. So that's the commitment to myself. And then most importantly, on the personal and private side, I've got a lot of space set aside for my wife Paula and my son Bailey, which is several hours a day, but the key one in there is the one present hour for all of us, where there's no distractions, no TV, no devices, nothing in the way that's going to make us be somewhere else in our minds. And so we get that magical connection together as a family every single day to strengthen and harness that relationship and all be there for each other. So that's the holistic plan to make sure that I'm ticking all the boxes. So it's not just a one-dimensional 2024 and becoming the best version that I can possibly become of myself under some of the constraints that we'll be under for especially the first 6 months of the year. So your action items is to start showing up with content right now to be visible heading into the new year. Block out your lifestyle, your calendar, your values, and build everything else around that. Set a vision and then make sure that the action matches the goals. So the level of activity that you're doing as your personal brand in terms of content, podcast, events, whatever you're putting into that matches what the goal is, because obviously little action only produces little results. Massive action gets massive results. So whatever the goal or vision is for you, whatever that looks like, make sure the activity would make it unreasonable for that not to get a lot of momentum and to move the needle significantly. So that's it for today. If you're following the show, thank you. If you're not, please hit the subscribe or follow button so you can catch all the new episodes as they come out. If you have the ability to review on the platform that you're listening on, a 5-star review helps more people discover the show.